Speaking of impactful,
Well said.
I'm wondering how you guys are impacted by the N-word. And
Mm.
let me get a little more
Ooh.
specific there.
Ooh.
So that Mexican OT, about a week ago, he was on the Angela Yee's Lip Service podcast. And he was asked about his use of the N word. And his response was basically like, he said, I feel like I can say it. I grew up around, well, his exact words are, I grew up loving these mother effers. I grew up fighting with them. I grew up eating with them. I grew up doing bad with them. I grew up loving them. Um, and that response got a lot of backlash. My personal opinion, I think, I don't know, something about the I grew up eating with them, I grew up doing stuff with them, I just feels very othering.
Mm.
And me
Mm.
personally, I think that the N word is something that as a community, as a collective, the black community decided we were going to kind of reclaim that word and put more power into it, and we've used
Mm.
it in terms of like endearment, of like joy, of surprise, of fear. Like it is like almost like a punctuation. You can end any sentence with it and the sentence is 10 times cooler. I get why other people want to say it. It sounds so cool. It's the best word. Just kidding. But so I think when you say it like, oh, it's fine because I grew up with them and I know them and, you know, them, it takes like the power away from the word and it goes back to being othering.
Mm.
And at the same time, I do believe, I don't obviously speak for all black people, and if that Mexican OT were around other black people and he were using the N word, and the people in his immediate circle were like, this is fine, keep using that word, that's awesome, that's great, then that's their comfort zone. And I think you have every right to hear a word you don't like, and if you can't remove yourself from the vicinity to ask that person to not use that word, I think it's the same thing if you were around family and, I don't know, you had kids and everyone's cursing. You're allowed to
Mhm.
ask those people out of respect, can you change your language to fit the circumstance? And so I don't know the crowds that Mexican OT grew up with, and what their comfort zone of circumstance was. Um, but yeah, but I know it's hard. You can't gatekeep words. I definitely was that person growing up who thought like nobody else can have braids. Braids is a black thing, and if you are not black and you have braids, you're racist and you hate me and you want slavery to come back. And you know, one thing does not have to
That's
equal all
funny.
these other things. And I've just gotten a little older, and braids are pretty cool, and I think more people can have them. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if that made sense, but
Makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
No,
that's my
I get you.
impactful
Awesome.
addition. I'll throw it to whoever wants it.
I'll start.
Um,
Yeah, Q, you go.
yeah, what are your
You go
thoughts?
first.
I'll start. Yeah.
Well
Let me
said.
wipe the sweat off my face. This is where things. This is where things get super ill-advised. No. Do you know? As I've gotten older, I've realized that there's certain things that we're just never going to solve. Like, there's not a right answer for certain things, right? I feel like the inward conversation is one of those things. Like, there's never going to be a right answer or the right explanation for why it's used, how it's used, who can use it. It's just one of those things we have to accept that it depends. It's a case by case basis who you're talking to, right? Or what principles these people go by. You know, the thing that's very interesting about that Mexican OT, which is crazy that somebody called that Mexican OT said such comments. But you know what's interesting about that? I don't think when it got to the meat of the conversation, I don't think he said a single lie. Do you guys believe he didn't grow up with black people? I believe he did. Do you believe that he did not fight with black people growing up? I do believe he did. Do you believe he's gotten money with black people? Of course he has, right? I don't think he's lying about that part, right? And then, feeling like he's one of them, maybe he does. I don't think he's lying about that. Fat Joe has said something very similar. Fat Joe said he thought he was black, right? Fat Joe pretty much said they called him light-skinned dude.
So I'm Spanish. I knew I was Latino, but the whole time I thought I was black anyway.
He thought he was black. It's, you know what somebody brought up? I noticed in the comments somebody brought something up is that how tolerable you are to, other people saying it might depend on the region that you're from, right? So for me, us, Uche, DC area, DMV, I heard plenty of Spanish people say it. I've heard it all the time. It was kind of like normal growing up, because I feel like in places like the DMV, Hispanic, Latino people are ingratiated with black people here. You know what I mean? There isn't that tension that you see in other places. Like I hear there's tension between the two races in like California and things like that. But here and in New York also, like the Dominicans and the Puerto Rican people in New York are ingratiated into the black community. That's why I think Fat Joe says, he says it because he feels like he's ingratiated in that community. So it's not the same as, let's say, like somebody in Idaho. If you saw like, somebody Latino in Idaho that said it, maybe you may feel differently because they may not be ingratiated. It really depends a lot of times on where you grew up, where the region that you're from. But to me, I'll be honest with myself. I'll be honest with y'all. Like, I don't really say it. Uche, you know that. I don't really say it. I don't really, I don't fault people that say it. It's just one of those things that, which is a bigger picture thing for me in hip hop. I just feel like we should expand our vocabulary. I'm okay with people saying the N-word. That's fine. But like, if you overuse it, like I want to hear, especially in hip hop, I want to hear more words, use different stuff, right? Because sometimes I feel like Moxie, you said, some people rely on the word just a little too much, especially in music. And so, from a vocabulary standpoint, I do wish people would, just expand, get a little more creative with the word. But hey, this sounds like a cop out, but I'm just like, this is one of those conversations I just don't think you can solve, right? I just don't think there's a right answer. You can't solve it.
You know what? I'm sitting here listening to both of you guys talk, which, by the way, well said. Like, I'm sitting here listening to both of you guys, and y'all both made great points. Like, you really do. And I was like, man, what more needs to be said on this? And for me, I think there's a few things. Number one, I'll just get this out of the way. The issue for that Mexican OT, in my opinion, wasn't necessarily that he's not black using the word. It was more about his energy saying, what are y'all going to do about it that I'm saying it?
What the are you going to do about it, That
was more so, I think, the issue people had. And I think anytime you are not a part of a community and you are, dare I say, privileged enough, I don't even feel comfortable using that word, but like, damn, like people gave you a pass to use it. Like for you to now tell those people, what are y'all going to do about it? I think it's just the wrong approach and it will never work. You're always going to get backlash for it. He was dead wrong for that, in my opinion. Number two, there's this word that gets overused way too much. Kind of similar to what you said earlier, Q, when you was like, people use the word impact. What does that really mean? There's this word called culture that people use every single day. I'm talking about in every industry. It's become a coined term. Oh, the technology culture. Oh, the animal culture. Oh, the this culture. But if you notice, people use that word way too much, and I'm specifically talking about.
Ain't nobody saying animal culture.
But people say. 100%.
I was almost like, where has he heard animal culture?
Yo, see.
You guys heard what's happening
you were
in
cooking.
animal
My
culture
bad, you were
now?
cooking.
Yo, come on, bro.
You were cooking, and I cut you off.
I definitely heard the
Can't
word.
stand that animal culture.
Here's the thing though. I definitely heard the word though on Animal Planet. I watch a lot of Animal Planet. I've heard people say it. That's besides the point. That's besides the point. Besides the point.
Have you heard an animal say it?
Never.
We're appropriating the animals. Have you heard an animal? Has it come out of an animal's mouth? Has an animal allowed you to say it? But anyways,
Yo, damn, bro. You don't sidetrack me too much. But look, the point is this. Yo, the point is this. The word culture gets used too much. And the point is, the N-word has become a part of hip hop culture. Like it's part of black culture, but it's also part of hip hop. And as we know, hip hop has expanded way beyond black people at this point. So as people are entering into this thing called hip hop, whether they're white, Hispanic, Asian, Arab, the list goes on. Add the country, insert country into this. It's almost like people have a right. They feel like they have the right to say it. I've noticed that, especially as the music continues to include it. Now, I'll stand off my ledge because I'm not here to preach. I agree with you, Q. There is probably nothing we can do about it at this point. Like it's over with. Like I think this is unsolvable. I just feel like within people's individual communities, I think it's up to y'all to govern who can say it and who can't. Me personally, I have stopped. I'm trying to stop using the word. I've definitely grown up saying it a lot. Part of the culture, the hip hop music culture, the community. It's been a thing, but over the years, man, I've been like, it's a really limiting word. Like it doesn't have a lot of meaning beyond just the fact that we all have become so accustomed to using it among our peers and the people who we know. That being said, that Mexican OT, in closing, he was dead wrong. And I feel like anybody who has this type of energy talking about what are y'all going to do about it, you sound very, you're almost akin to the slave masters who were using this word on those people, aka black people at the time. You almost sound like that. You get what I'm saying? So I think people have to be mindful, specifically Mexican OT. And let's not, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that he did apologize. Although.
yeah, I was going to say that.
I don't know. I saw he was talking to somebody in a private DM. I don't know if he put that out himself. I don't know how that got out, but I did see he apologized. And I thought that was good of him to do because, again, I think it's up to our individual communities to govern who can say it and who can't. Other than that, bro, be mindful of how you actually speak to people and the words you use, because can you imagine if he asked, what are y'all going to do about it? And somebody in that room had a gun and they was not having it that day. Like, what do you mean? What am I going to do about it? And just shot him right there? Or like there was a real physical altercation. Would it really be that worth it? You know what I mean? Like,
so
is it really that worth it at that point?
So since, I don't have much to say about the topic, right? Because I said it's unsolvable.
We've only been talking about 15 minutes on this. Come on.
There's only 2 or 3 topics in this world that I think are legitimately unsolvable. And I see people continuously argue about it, but it's like, I personally think it's unsolvable. I'll probably tell you guys off camera. But to me, I think, so there's another angle to this. The interviewer asked him that, right? The person, and I think personally what I took from him saying that what are you going to do about it was he was irritated by the question. And I think he tried to come at a different angle than what we're used to hearing. Because to be honest with you, that's the most awkward question that anybody can
Well, what was the question? Do you remember what the question was?
It was
because I actually don't remember.
Like pretty much it's just he's saying like, you say the N-word or why do you say the N-word or something like that, right?
Okay.
So
yeah, they just asked his general stance.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he defended himself.
And that to me is a very tough question to answer. It's almost like remember in the Breakfast Club when they asked Post Malone like, "What are you doing for Black Lives Matter?" And Post Malone's like,
"What are you doing for the Black Lives Matter movement?"
What?
I don't know.
Is that a serious question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If anything,
it's like these questions are very difficult questions, and some people choose to be like, all right, I'm going to acquiesce. I'm going to just kind of like tiptoe. Right. He was one of the few people that did not tiptoe from that aspect. So, remember I told you, I off camera, I told you, I was like, I kind of like that he said that. Not from the fact that like, essentially what he said, but I like this tone because it was a different tone from what we're used to. Because which one? Let me ask you, which one's better to you? That tone or somebody faking it, or somebody saying something like, "Oh yeah, I think it's a terrible word. I use it because I think it's it." We get a lot of fake answers on these interviews in regards to that question, right? And so I thought that he gave, granted, I probably wouldn't have said that on camera, 100%. I don't condone it. I would not have said that on camera, but I do feel there was an ounce of like, yo, this person actually gave like, not your cookie cutter answer to it. He gave what he felt was like the right answer, which was something that was crazy. So there is something there to kind of appreciate.
I'm not rolling with that. No. Because at
not
the
even
end
a
of the
little
day-
bit.
No, look.
It seemed like a genuine answer from him.
Look, the only thing I can appreciate from him is the idea of answering a question, not that question, answering a question with conviction. I like when people answer questions with conviction.
That's essentially what I'm saying.
Cool.
I literally said the same thing.
But because of the topic at hand, right? The room was not read properly. And I think that's the issue, right? Like you have to be mindful of who you're talking to, what you're talking about at all times, especially when you're a public figure. Dude, Tyler, not to get off subject, but I think artists are presented with this like dilemma a lot, right? Where they get asked questions and they're not prepared. So they may either say, I don't want to talk about it. Others may over talk. Some may get aggressive. Tyler was asked, hey, explain the whole color thing from South Africa. And she was like, oh, I don't feel like talking about this. Like she looked at her team. They didn't answer it. She got a lot of flack for it, right? People kind of killed her online. Like, bro, why don't you just answer the question, right? Whereas somebody else might be like, bro, like that's your life. How are you not able to articulate?
Her, right? She got killed online for that, right?
Correct.
She got killed online for not giving an answer. So that Mexican OT could have not given an answer, right? He could have just said, publicist.
Hold on. But let's not act like.
Or he could have faked.
No, but
he could have faked it.
No, but remember, you watched it. He didn't only just say, "What are they going to do about it?" He actually explained, "Yo, I grew up with them."
That's what I'm saying.
He could just kept it at that. What's the problem? Hey, I grew up with them.
What are you going to do about it?
I later learned he has a half brother who's black. Like, and that's what he meant by, yo, I grew up with them, like obviously in Houston. Like, bro, just keep it there. But this energy you having about saying, what are y'all gonna do about it, is the wrong move in any scenario, no matter how you slice it, in my opinion.
Like I said, it sound for me, like I said, I'm not condoning. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here. For me, it sounded like he was irritated by the question, right? And he wanted to give an answer that indicated that he was irritated, right? That is probably not the answer I would have given, but it's a natural, a raw emotion that came out, right? That was different than what we're used to hearing. Like I said, bro. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I can't let you get it all, because let me tell you something. And now I'm gonna get on my high horse just for a quick second. I think that mentality, and I know you're playing devil's advocate, so I'm not knocking you. But I have seen people sort of say, yo, man, what's the problem? Like, yo, man, I kind of like it. It's like, bro, I think this is one of those words where I do feel like it's so strong of an opinion that we can't tiptoe around these topics. We can't tiptoe around this stuff. Like, I think if you're gonna don't play with these type of, not you, but I don't think he or anybody should be playing with these type of subject. There's a lot of hate and energy behind this word alone. Like, and you're already not black. So you should be mindful of that is in the world, who you are in the world, and understand the weight of this conversation. I understand he may have not been equipped, and people mess up. I'm not trying to kill him, right? But I'm saying I'm glad he apologized. But this is more of a lesson, not for us. It's for everybody out there. We're all watching this. Everybody's watching how he handled this. It was wrong. We have to say it was wrong.
The point,
but
he's making that. The point is, he's trying to say, I feel like I'm black. I feel like I've been stamped by black people. So why are you asking me this question? That is the real, like, that's why I'm saying, like, you know, I brought up the regions, right? There's certain people that feel like, yo, I am stamped by black people, so I can say it. That is the bigger question to me.
I understand.
The bigger question is, who is stamping these people, saying that, you're good in the black community.
You know who
is? Like
the culture.
Eminem?
No, the culture.
That animal culture.
That one, yeah, that one in particular. That
the culture,
animal
right? So
culture.
if he legitimately feels like he legitimately feels like, I'm good. Like, black people, I interact with black people all the time. I'm good. Like, they understand. Then, he probably goes into those interviews and feels like I didn't say anything wrong. Right? So
he does say in his apology, I felt like it was a stupid question, so I gave a stupid answer. So, like, he, like, acknowledges that what he said was not appropriate.
Right.
And I think to play into, like, the added, like, what are you going to do about it? Like, the machismo and the audacity of that question. I think part of what people have a problem with is that the podcast studio itself didn't have a lot of black people in it. And they felt, would you act that brazen if it was a room full of black people? Instead of saying, what are you going to do about it, to a room full of people who have no stakes in the game, versus what are you going to do about it to a room full of people who might actually do something about it?
And I saw, and by the way, that's a great point, Moxie, because some of you guys may or may not know, there's a rapper named Sauce Walka from Houston, just like that Mexican OT. He had some initial remarks kind of condoning, in a sense, what Mexican OT did before he actually saw the real clip. And he later echoed exactly what you said, Moxie, just in the Houston version of it, and was like, yo,
he said, man, why y'all, come on, that Mexican OT there, number of women in there. Yeah, there's none more women in there.
He said,
I just translated.
Yeah, you said the clean version. He was like, man, that Mexican OT, he said, yo, bro.
He said, you damn wrong.
You know damn well if we was in that room with you, good and damn well everybody would have wanted to fight you. You know that. You know that.
That's exactly what he said. That's
so,
exactly what he said. Yeah.
To your point, Moxie, it's like, right? That's the context that I don't think people, are kind of factoring in as well. But hey, who knows, man? What do y'all think? I'm curious to know what you guys think out there. If you feel super strongly about the word, let us know why in the comments. Also, like, do you think that this combo is overblown? Should he have gotten killed like this? I'm very curious. I'm pretty sure you guys are. I think it's more important if we're having healthy dialogues online, not just people shouting at each other. You know what I mean?
This is actually a dialogue that's been happening for years. Remember J-Lo?
Of course.
J-Lo said it in I'm Real. She said it in I'm Real, and it was a big deal. Fat Joe has been saying it and like been standing down or 10 toes down saying I can say it. So this is not a new topic,
and it won't go away either.
Unsolvable,
and it's not going anywhere either.
We should end this episode with a soundbite of Kendrick saying, "We don't want to hear you say no."
Exactly.
Yo, hey, great. I love that.
Look, I'd rather that Mexican OT say it than Logic.
See?
Logic is a white guy.
See?
I cringe when Logic says it. I don't know about you.
Bro.
I cringe.
See now now we talking. You want to do the science on that topic? Because Logic is actually half black. So hey, go ahead.
I don't care.
So you cool with a Mexican guy saying it, but a guy who's half black?
I'm cool with half black people saying it. That's fine. I'm cool. I said Logic. That's what I said.
Yo, you ain't seen his dad? His dad is black. His dad's black, bro.
Have you seen Logic?
I have.
Come on, man. Stop.
He does not look black. I'll give you that.
He doesn't. Nothing about him is black to me. But that's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. When he talks, maybe his background and all that stuff.
You ain't wrong.
Sorry.
You ain't wrong, brother. Moxie, any last words on this topic? Are you good to go?
I think if I asked the question that I'm thinking, it would create a whole nother segment and perhaps a whole nother episode. So maybe I'll hold on to it.
Or you can word it as a statement. You can word it as a statement as opposed to a question.
Oh, okay. I'll try. I was gonna say, do we set a double standard for who can and cannot say the N word, not even based off of skin color, but more so off of street cred? Like, why is Kendrick allowed to say, we don't want to hear you say the N word no more, when Drake is mixed? But that Mexican OT is not black at all, but we're like, he can say it. So, maybe that wasn't quite like a full statement, but that's just
No.
I sang that line with my whole chest. I'm mixed, and I was like, we don't want to hear you say. Like, I sang it like I wrote it. And at the same time, I can also be like, well, I let people say what they want to say. So I'm guilty of the double standard, but I'm wondering, is animal culture the cause of all of this?
That animal culture.
Hey,
I told you.
that damn animal culture, man. Listen, I tell you one thing. One thing nobody's ever said is why the animals saying the N word too much? That's never been said. It's never been said in
What are you
life.
talking about?
Nobody's ever said that.
They don't know what they're saying. But
That's my point.
let me answer. There is definitely a double standard. There's a triple standard in this topic. I do think it depends on like the swagger. Depends on like if you've been approved, right? Some people feel like they've been approved by the black community to say, and I think, one thing, this might be controversial, but I genuinely think like black people, we are too nice. We are way too nice. Like, black culture is the most expensive thing in the world. In the world. I've been to Paris and I've seen people dressed like black people here. Like, and it came from either hip hop culture or whatever that we've created. I feel like black people, we are so nice. Even the term like, they're invited to the cookout, right? If you're cool enough, you're invited to the cookout. For us, I feel like a lot of times all you got to do is be cool. All you got to do is be down and we accept you. And this is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. This is a great thing. And I encourage everybody to continue to be like that. But the problem is other races are just not like that.
God.
Other races
Preach.
are not accepting us that easily.
Preach.
In situations
Sunday
like
too.
that.
Damn,
So
preach.
that's what it comes down to. I really genuinely think, and we and the sad thing about it is we get stereotyped as if we're all angry black men or angry black women. We get stereotyped like, oh, they don't let us do this or they don't let us say that. I generally believe we are so nice. Even think about Beyonce, right? Beyonce just swooped into African music. Nobody said anything. It's actually beautiful, right? I don't know if we should be stricter, but that's the case to me. And I think with the N-word, a lot of people are okay with people saying it because they feel like if you got that approval, which, that Mexican OT, I'm sure that Mexican OT has black friends that said, oh man, you black just like me. You can say the word. Of course. I'm sure somebody will let Eminem has said it. If there's tape of Eminem saying it multiple times. But what do everybody say? Eminem, we let him pass because, Eminem's good with us. Why is he good with us? Because he makes good music, right?
Bro.
If there was something, if the roles were reversed,
Yo, no, you preaching right now, bro. You preaching right now, and furthermore, I saw a and people have said this too, but for me, I think the first time I ever heard this was if you guys are familiar with Paul Mooney, legendary comedian back in the day.
Yeah.
I think he passed away like a couple years ago, I believe. I don't remember what year, but anyway,
for sure.
he once said, "Everybody wants to be a until it's time to be a." So I think, yeah, while we over here like condoning people for saying the word, oh yeah, come through, like to your point, Q, oh yeah, it's part of culture, we're so forgiving, all that is facts. It's that damn culture word that's the problem. And it's a lot of non-gatekeeping that is going on by black people because the word has been monopolized and transformed, right? When we can go back and I don't want to open this discussion, but like, should that even have happened? We know it's too late. The cat's out the bag. Like, it already happened. But my thing is, nobody want to be a until it's time to be a. I think there's times and places for that to happen. I'm curious to know all of these people who are non-black who say the word. Are you fighting for black issues? Are you? Does your friend who's a like when they get oppressed? Are you there to support them? I'm curious, and I think that opens up a whole different political aspect, a whole different like humanity aspect. But to me, I really think at it on that level. You know, there's a lot of weight behind this word, and I feel like while there's a lot of people who feel like it shouldn't even be said, which I think I'm gearing towards that. I'm like, bro, if you're going to say it, like, stand on it. Stand behind the actual culture of the people who are saying this is an okay word to use. That's all I'll say, man. And
I think
I'll leave it at that.
Stop with the approvals. I'm gonna just say that real quick. Let's stop with the approvals. I hate that. Also, let's stop with the approvals. Like, man, like, why do we got so many approvers? Think about at like your 9-to-5 job. One person can approve a change to a system, right? Why is it every block has an approver? Oh, you've been approved. You've been approved. Everybody has an approver, right? There's too many approvers, in my opinion, in the black community to do certain things. Like, you know, for instance, it's like, you know, people say you got to check in to come into LA. Why do I got to check in? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to go on vacation. You know what I mean? Way too many approvers. And I think a lot of these people are getting approvals from these approvers. And it's like, you know, they feel like they can say certain words or do certain things because they've been approved.
Right.
I think
well
just
said.
to the real quick, Quincy, what you were saying about like us being so nice and so accepting and like willing to approve that there's even like this joke of this system of approval that even exists. I think that's why specifically the phrase "what are you gonna do about it" is hurtful, because it's like, damn, like, what do you mean what am I gonna do about it? I guess go cry and wonder like, I was so nice to you, I was so opening, I was so trying to bring you into my world, and you're gonna buck at me. You know, I think that's why it's painful.
Very well said.
It's like,
very well said.
That's the best point in this episode to me.
I agree.
Best point,
and that's why it needs to be. I think, like, I don't know. Again, this is just our thoughts, right? I mean, if you guys feel anything we're saying, I mean, shoot, feel free to like the video, which I didn't say earlier, and tell us why in the comments. But man, I think it's important to have this discussion publicly because, you know, these combos are happening in real time, online, maybe in people's home, right? But I think, like, these are productive conversations, even if it doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean? Even if it's uncomfortable, like, I feel like it's productive to have this discussion for people to engage and chime in and give their thoughts as well. But yeah, well said, Moxie. Well said. Well said.
Listen to the full episode. Link below.